The fight for D.C. statehood isn't over just yet, even after the House of Representatives passed a bill to make D.C. the 51st state. Some Republican lawmakers recently said that it's a bad idea. Our Gio Insignares breaks down the hurdles still left to clear and why it may or may not happen anytime soon.
Larry, last Friday, the House passed that legislation with a vote of 232 to 180, providing the first step towards statehood for Washington, D.C. But obviously, not every elected official or every American citizen is on board with that idea. We wanted to know why.
In a news conference yesterday, a few GOP senators detailed their opposition to making the District of Columbia a state. Republican Steve Daines from Montana, for example, argued that there's a bubble in the immediate D.C. area and that it doesn't properly represent the nation's feelings on D.C. statehood.
And sometimes I think it's important for senators and congressmen, in fact, most of the time, get out of this city, go out to where the real people are at across our country and ask them what they think.
When asked by reporters about what he meant by real people, he said this.
What I'm saying is that you get outside and talk to the American people outside of Washington, D.C., residents outside of this, and they overwhelmingly oppose this idea. That's the point.
In fact, there may be data to support that theory. A Gallup poll conducted in June of 2019 found that Americans are much more likely to oppose making Washington, D.C. a separate state by a margin of 64% to 29%. In this sample of a little more than 1,000 U.S. adults, no major subgroups supported D.C. statehood. The highest percentages of support were among those identifying as Democrats or having a liberal ideology, 39% and 40%, while those self-described as Republican or conservative represented the lowest percentages of support, 15% and 14%. Even folks we talked to around the district today, visiting from across the country, gave us a batch of mixed reactions.
I don't think it should be a state because then you have to make a new flag.
Yes, D.C. should definitely be a state, especially to vote. If the president lives here, then the people here should definitely get a vote.
I'm not for it. I think I like the 50 states that we have.
Pros, it gives a little bit more inclusion to D.C., where it's not as, what you could say, ostracized to the rest of the states. But making it equal to the states would lower a little bit of the reverence.
Today, when we asked D.C. Delegate Eleanor Holmes-Norton about these reactions, the Gallup poll results, and Senator Daines' comments, she said political fear is driving Republicans.
He also is afraid, I believe, that with people in the streets demanding democracy for everybody, they're afraid the tide is turning nationally on matters like D.C. statehood.
So is there merit to the results that a majority of Americans oppose making Washington, D.C. a state?
No, I think most Americans think D.C. is just the capital city. They see it only the monument. They don't see 700,000 people living here. What this bill does is allow us to educate on who the District of Columbia really is.
We also asked Delegate Norton what it would take now to push this bill over the top. She said it would likely take a Democratic majority in the House and the Senate, plus a Democrat in the White House, possibly as soon as after the 2020 election. Though, she said, that's a prediction you don't make until you know which way the wind is blowing. Ultimately, though, expressing hope that this will get done. Larry?
Gio, thank you so much. Remarkable. And let's be very clear that D.C. is made up of more than 700,000 real people. Now, during this statehood debate, some are suggesting retroceding some of the city and making it part of Maryland again. You can read more about that proposal and the history behind it on our mobile app and website, WSA9.com.